Last week, Sample Logic launched Rhythmology, a new Kontakt player instrument with over 1,000 loops and a nearly infinite number of parameters and effects for it. Had quite a few questions across some forums and social media, so I thought I'd break down in this video 5 answers to questions about Rhythmology. Number 1, how do you load multi-cores, loop cores, or loops? You've got 3 main ways to navigate in Rhythmology. The first is the multi-core browser that allows you to load in a preset with all loops and all parameters. When you load those settings up, it's loading up all 4 of these loop cores and all of the effects settings. So essentially scrolling through left to right across your multi-cores completely changes everything in your loop settings. The second place to load loops is in the loop core browser. This will let you change the loaded loop into the selected loop core. And that changes all the effects in that loop core as well. The third place to navigate is the loop browser. What's great about this is you're able to load in different loops, but keep all of the same effects and parameters. Number 2, how to use step effects. Each of the loop cores has its own set of step effects, which are a powerful suite of different effects that you can add to each different step across the board. In addition, there's also the ability to use step automation for each of the effects parameters. There's a little indicator showing that you are adjusting each of the parameters in the step window. Number 3, can I change the grid? Each of the loops that load up into Rhythmology have an extensive amount of data. It's not just an acetide wave file, and therefore each of these loads up with their own grid. So unfortunately, you're not able to change the playbacks here, but you would be able to change the samples that's played back according to the division of the grid by selecting the sample here. For instance, if I want to just repeat the first beat over and over, all I've got to do is select my first sample across the board here. Number 4, can I use my own loops? No, unfortunately, you cannot load your own loops into Rhythmology, and the reason being is because, like I had said before, these are extremely complex loops that have been sliced, assigned all kinds of different data and parameters. They're not just your average acid wave files. And number 5, how does the key switching work? Rhythmology has 2 different kinds of key switches. It's got trigger key switches, which trigger playback of the loops. You've got up in this region here, you've got an orange key to trigger back all the loops at once. And then each of the preceding keys will trigger back each of the individual cores on their own, like this. But that's just one of the ways that Rhythmology's key switching works. You can see there's a red key switch at C2, and what you're able to do there is set up a whole bunch of different parameters. So for instance, I can add another set of parameters by clicking this Now when I hit the B, you'll see I now have a D2 key switch. Same with C, E2 key switch, and D would be an F2 key switch. So I'm able to jump back and forth between all three. Now, one of the ways that we'd be able to tell that we're doing something differently here is to adjust parameters in playback from B to A to C. And I haven't adjusted anything yet on D. So we could pretty quickly just start to trigger all of our loops and switch between those four. Big thanks to Sample Logic for getting us an advanced copy of Rhythmology so that we could do that world premiere first look. Special intro price of Rhythmology, $199, is still good for another week if you're interested in picking it up. That expires on March 15th, 2017. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please comment in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe. And be sure you're heading over to samplelibraryreview.com because that's where all the cool cats hang out.